So when it comes to managing conflict and resolution and how to kind of manage that and all the emotions, we need to keep in mind that we are all people. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have our shortcomings, and we're all going to enter in with certain emotions. Now, as real estate agents, the burden is on us to operate within a certain framework of professionalism. It doesn't mean we can't be human, but it does mean that we have to be professional in certain circumstances. And being able to manage conflict and then bring resolution, even if it's with another realtor or a broker or a consumer or whoever it may be, a coworker, administrator, whatever it may be, we have to operate with a whole lot of grace, understanding, and really focus on what the true issues are to get to the resolution about what's really going to help this thing get together so we can move forward. So I challenge you all this week that as things are thrown at you and you want to get emotional and you want to go after it, and you want to attack, I caution you to kind of take a step back and put yourself in their shoes. And we'll get into this. I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit on my notes, but that's fine. I want you guys to just be observant of the other people, and what they might be going through. Try to put yourself in their shoes and understand their position, because it's going to help you be a much better person and a much better agent too. Okay, so real estate agents can manage conflicts by practicing effective communication, active listening, and maintaining professionalism. When navigating disagreements, miscommunications, or misunderstandings with clients or cooperating agents, keep that in mind. There's a bunch of people, lenders as well, and appraisers and inspectors, and we are all doing this together. We are all trying to get to the end of the closing table. No one is the enemy. Everybody is wanting the same thing. So keep that in mind. All right, so here are some things just to kind of keep in mind as we go through conflict and we need to get to the resolution. Number one is this: stay calm and be professional. Approach every single conflict with a calm demeanor, maintaining professionalism at all times. So remember this: emotional reactions that you have, it escalates the situation. Okay, so if I enter the situation and I'm upset and I go into a closing room and I know I'm dealing with a buyer and seller that maybe had some disagreements or whatever, and I enter in with emotions, and I come to that table and I have emotions towards the other realtor and what they might have said or they might have done, I actually create an atmosphere that causes more emotions to erupt. And as a professional, we've got to go in there. We understand what's really going on. We understand that people have, they don't understand everything that we do understand. So we need to make sure that we put ourselves in a position of always being calm and operating with professionalism. Number two, I'll say this, is active listening. Listen carefully when you're going through a conflict and you need to get to the resolution. The key is to listen to all parties that are involved, understand their perspectives, and before responding, because if you don't understand where they're coming from and you immediately want to start telling them how they need to be or what their response needs to be, that's when it just escalates the situation. You're no longer calm and you don't really fully understand their position. So remember, listen to what they're saying. Try to understand what the pain points are. All right. So that brings me on to the next one: open communication. Address the issue promptly and openly. Encourage open dialogue to uncover the root cause of the conflict and find a resolution. So open communication. So, and I will say this goes back to the very beginning when you're first meeting with a client and you want to start talking about communication. You need to say up front how you're going to handle certain situations, what kind of communications to be expected, kind of set the stage about what that looks like. And I would even have the conversation with them about, hey, you need to understand that we're going into this emotional situation. The buyer or the seller, whoever it is you're representing, could have a lot of emotion. They can make a lot of mistakes. They could say things they might not really normally say under different conditions. But this is how we are going to handle that. So you can talk to your consumer and the other agent and say, look, we might have disagreements along the way and we might have to fight for our clients, or we might have to stand up for each other, or, whatever the case may be. Have that communication, because communication is absolutely important. But then again, going back to number two, active listening is very important. So you communicate, you listen, and then you stay calm and you be professional. All right. So empathy. Number four is empathy. Put yourself, I said this before, but you need to put yourself in their shoes. Try to understand their viewpoint. I mean, look, it might be like, oh, they're crazy and they're annoying. You can come back to the office and you can vent with another realtor, and we're gonna be able to get it off our chest and feel better. But we don't want to take that back to the client. So we need to try to understand and have empathy for them. So just remember, demonstrating empathy can foster better understanding and reduce all kinds of tension in that relationship. So show the empathy. All right. Number 5, clarify expectations. Ensure that all parties have a clear understanding of the terms, expectations, and details involved. Here's just a point. Misunderstandings often raise out of the unclear communication styles of the parties involved. Okay, so when tensions get heightened, typically, especially when it's dealing with a buyer or seller, it's that they don't fully understand every detail about it, and we have probably not done a very good job at communicating the details to them, or on the other side of the aisle, right? So we have to understand that communication part is crucial. All right, number 6 is, and this is a big one because this is kind of missed a lot when it comes to conflict resolution. It's missed a lot. You want to focus on solutions. Focus on the solution instead of dwelling just on this problem, and they're focused and they're tunnel visioned onto this problem. Well, you need to work together with them to kind of find practical solutions that benefit all parties to get to the end. So, let them vent, let them say whatever they need to say, get it off their chest. And then you can say things like, look, I understand. Yes, it is a very stressful time. I'm sorry you have to go through this. And my job here is to work to help you find a solution to this problem. But we have to do it within the confines of the contract or what we have to do here. And that just opens the door up. Say, yep, I validate your feelings. I understand you're stressed. But at this point, yes, you're right. Let's now figure out a way to get and resolve the problem. Let's figure out how to do that. All right. I will say this too. Number 7 is document disagreements and agreements. So if there's a disagreement going on, I would encourage you to take some time and write that out as an agent. Write out the disagreement and what's going on. A couple of reasons. One, it's going to help you kind of have a little more clarity about maybe what is really the true issue and the root of this problem. But it's also going to give you a record to kind of reflect back upon and learn something from. So document this. And then once you get to a resolution and all parties have agreed, I would say write that down too. Whenever a resolution is reached, document the agreed upon terms. And if it ends up being a major disagreement in regards to any kind of contract or anything like that, document it and write it out to avoid any future disputes. Number 8. Now I'm going to use this word, and I'm not saying you need to go get an attorney, that kind of stuff. But mediation is, and I'm not saying you have to go that whole crazy route. But mediation is the point where both parties, you're just not able to get to an agreement, and it's just unresolved. And it doesn't seem like you're going to get there. This is when it gets just really to another level. So what I would encourage you to do in that situation, that's when you bring in another party, a neutral third party or a mediator to help facilitate discussion to find common ground. That's where mediation comes in. So if it's your broker or anybody, if you get to the point where it's just not working, you need to get together with a third party that has nothing else to gain or lose, and that can step back and see all situations and bring resolution. All right. Number 9 is this, and this is one that I think a lot of people struggle with. I've struggled with this one. Is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries for yourself, for the clients, what's to be expected, those type of things. So what I would say is establish clear boundaries and professional behavior expectations for all parties involved. This will absolutely prevent a lot of conflicts from arising. And that goes back to just being able to communicate with them what is to be expected of them and what they are to expect from you. Okay. So inside of that conversation, you need to be able to say, look, I work these hours. I'm not available these days. I'm not, you have got to communicate with your client, because if you do not communicate and you don't set those boundaries up front, then they're overriding everything that you think you want to do, but you didn't let them know. You didn't let them know that's what you desired. So you didn't set any boundaries. So yeah, they're going to overstep those boundaries. So definitely set that up. Okay. And finally, number 10 is learn and adapt. Learn and adapt. Use conflicts as opportunities for growth. Adversity always brings growth. And as long as you don't sit there and just dwell on the adversity, right? It's a constant battle to just be faced with all these difficulties and see the stress of dealing with people and all these type of things, that we forget the most important lesson we could ever learn from difficulty is that we're going to grow and be better agents and people from those adversities and those conflicts. As long as we're documenting and listening and observant and seeing what's going on, and just remember that learning and adapting. So you need to reflect back on the situation. If you got yourself emotional and you let yourself have an outburst and you didn't handle it correctly, you need to go back and look at that and then adapt the way you approach. You need to approach this with a better way. So, and then I'll end with this. Remember, conflict is a natural part of any business, and successful managing it can strengthen relationships and enhance your reputation as a skilled and professional real estate agent. Conflict's going to happen. Certain people aren't going to like you. Certain agents are going to despise you. Even if you did your best and you put your best foot forward, you're still going to have people out there that are not your friend. You could work your tail off trying to please people, but the reality is you're still going to offend them at some point, even if it's unintentionally. But if you are focused on becoming better at these type of things, and you're honest with others when you make a mistake, and you're transparent with them when you make mistakes, it's showing your true professionalism, and it leads to a very strong referral business, and it just makes you an overall much better person.